here and our guys are better than them.
Yes.
It's so base.
Yeah.
It's base, man.
Yes, it is. It's the roots.
No.
It's roots.
In the other
Base roots.
in the other meaning of base.
Let me say.
Base as in pathetic.
Oh.
Well, let's talk about.
I'm talking about. We're
Okay.
It's interesting people resist this, and
Yes.
I think I want to know why.
Content over everything.
Okay.
Because surely you direct your own choices, right? You live your life, you make your choices.
Yes.
You determine how you interrelate with people.
Yes.
So you're a human. You choose how you talk to us here.
Yes.
Why does it need to be tied to something else? Why break down your personality into more and more smaller subdivisions of boxes? It only serves to usually to make hostility. It doesn't need to. It doesn't mean ignore or not appreciate or value your cultural lineage.
I think that's what the uncle was saying, though, isn't it?
But it might be. But you surely know that more often than not, it's used as a weapon.
Well, this is the problem, isn't it? Right. So, for example,
you know what I'm saying.
I do.
If
perspective.
Depends on.
We're talking about nationalism and racism.
Well, that's different.
And the actual definition of racism.
Well, that's different, isn't it? That's where it's like I'm from this group, and we are superior to your group, and we're going to mistreat you because we're superior.
Right.
This is a problem.
But why acknowledge the group so much if that's not your goal?
Well, what the uncle was saying, how I interpret it is like, you live in a certain land, a certain area. There's certain things you do that is done for enjoyment and fun and so forth, and it's tied in. It could be tied in to say, for example, if you're from Sudan, you might stay out in the sun, part of your culture, right? But because you're from Sudan and you're very dark skinned, yeah, you can do that. Now, when you mix with someone from Scotland, for example, they might appreciate your culture, you appreciate their culture, but they might not be able to fully appreciate the Sudanese culture staying out in the sun because they might not be biologically equipped to do that, right? But they can still appreciate it, right?
What do you mean appreciate?
Well, what I'm saying is, a culture is what you do, isn't it? Right? It's just things you do. It's a collection of things you do.
That's right.
Yeah?
Values.
Yeah, values are things you do. Am I wrong?
I'm thinking about it.
Okay, well,
it's a tricky question.
It is. But what I'm saying is, so a community goes out and they do something. So if a community lives out in, say, Africa, and for some reason, part of enjoyment is building stuff in the sun, and this is actually an activity that they really enjoy doing, yeah, you can appreciate that being from, say, like Iceland, but you have to be very careful when you engage with it because you biologically cannot do the same as them, but you can appreciate it, right?
Well, why can I not biologically do it?
Well, because because if you're extremely dark-skinned Sudanese, you can actually stay out in the sun longer.
I understand the biology of it, but I wear clothes and sun cream. I can still.
Well, that's different then. So that means you've now tried to adapt to be able to participate in someone else's culture.
So?
To which that's not wrong with that. So what we're saying is, by appreciating and getting along, that is a good thing. But if you try to tear down, mock, go to war because of what someone else is doing, well, that's where you're not necessarily appreciating someone else's cultural stuff.
Yeah, to just add to that point, where there is a how can I say, kind of a not appreciation for other people's cultures. To be honest with you, I tell you who, the far right are a perfect example of that. They don't appreciate.
What is the name of this corner?
This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
This is what I said.
Huh? Yeah,
this is why I'm saying that when people focus on race,
far right are
the far right is not. It's not.
The most. They are the quintessentially example of the type of people. They're a subset of a white group, right? Not all white.
Oh, it's
groups.
white. It's only white.
Okay, but
What are we talking
some
about?
ethnic minorities. I'm saying, look, if we're being honest, if we're being realistic, the far right, the majority of them, under Tommy Robinson's leadership, they're the people who do not appreciate other people's cultures. They're against Africans. I always hear videos about African countries are shitholes, etc., stuff like that, or Muslims, or immigration, etc., stuff like this. And obviously, they're to be honest with you, they're the ones that are ashamed on white people. To be honest with you. They give white people a bad name because a lot of white people are not like that. But they absolutely, they're against multiculturalism. They don't appreciate no one's culture.
Maybe
and I think, if I'm honest, I think it's completely racially motivated. It's absolutely racially motivated.
No matter how you look at it, you can't escape it.
Escape what? No. I'm going to speak from. I'm going to speak, bro.
Yeah.
So I understand what you're saying, but I think there's a lot of confusion mixed in there. The point I'm trying to get to is that when anybody wants to define themselves by race and make that the important thing, it's only going to cause conflict and division. That's
Yeah,
Hold up,
I
point
agree.
there.
And
Doesn't
far
matter.
right example of that. The example.
But the far right, you understand that this far right is just a way of thinking.
Yeah.
It
No,
can,
but I
be,
think
it can be from
I
you,
disagree.
from this. You disagree.
I don't think it's. I don't think it's.
I
I
can prove it
don't
to
think their concerns are based on ideology. I think it's racially motivated.
No, sure.
That's
But
what I
I'm
think,
saying
yeah.
that this racial negative motivation happens from all people in all parts of the
No,
world.
not necessarily.
Well, then you're
I
deluded,
think
my
maybe
friend.
not to this
Absolutely
extent.
deluded.
Can I-
we can research it.
Can I think?
No, I don't think.
So what? So why are there's people butchering people all over the world? For a long time.
Let's focus in the UK right now.
There's a common thread that's wanting to say that only white people are doing bad
I didn't
things.
say white.
Oh no.
But that's the key
not-
problem.
You're strawmanning me. I never said that. I said the far right. If we're going on why some cultures can't appreciate other cultures, I just gave an example of the far right. The far right, they don't appreciate immigrants, right? Who contribute to this country. They only want to focus on the very worst case scenario.
I know
Do you
what
understand?
you're saying.
You understand?
It's a mentality.
So I'm just
It's
all
a
I'm
mentality.
all
It's
I'm-
not tied to
all I'm-
any-
all I'm
not tied
pointing
to
at
genetics.
is an example. That's it. Do you understand?
I understand,
Yeah.
but I'm saying it's a mentality.
Can I address your point?
view-
And I think it's racially motivated.
Can I address the point that I think you're making, or the conflict I think that's going on here, is that quite difficult to say. I'll give you my position. My position is that when you seek consciously or unconsciously, when one seeks consciously or unconsciously, directly or indirectly, to remove an individual from his or her roots, that person becomes an entity that is the most violent entity possible. Basically, it's difficult to say.
You move someone from the environment. So
Sorry?
almost like an animal. You move from its environment, becomes more violent.
Yes, just the attempt to destroy or devalue somebody's perception of their root.
Yeah, I agree. It's
Right?
psychological warfare.
It brings up a kind of primeval anger
Absolutely.
that cannot be spoken about. Once that thing kicks off, once that thing
I
kicks
can.
off, right, you cannot reason with that person any longer, and they cannot reason with you.
Yeah, exactly.
What something will come up. I don't know what it is, but something will come up, and the level of violence that will be produced from that. It is going to be absolutely savage.
Can you give us an
It's
example?
it's almost like a string.
example, I think.
You could have this rope,
People are
a rope or
Very
string
low
that could go for miles out or over a long time. You know, I'm talking about miles or distance as in time. Yes. So if you break that person's link to their past, whether it's visible or not visible, something will kick off.
I agree, and we've seen that. But just to go for what you're saying, because so I think what you're saying is when you're trying to bond with someone, you can really connect, and it's the personal ideas and thoughts, and certain ideas get in the way. And one of the, stop me if I'm wrong. One of the ideas is actually mentioning race and stuff, like because it's like it breaks down conversations. When I say it's correct or incorrect
I didn't understand. Mentioning race breaks down conversation.
not mentioning race. So because I think you said it earlier here that you're talking, you're building with people, and when they have like an alliance to a race or something based on race, that's like a conversation kind of breaker. Am I wrong? Am I misquoting you or something? Or maybe you can expand more.
Conversation breaker. Well, I'm saying what I'm trying to tell you guys is that, from my understanding, the more that we identify, if you personally try to identify yourself with your body, and that is you, and this is where you are, and you're from this country with this language and this place and this history, if that becomes your personal identity, I think you're missing out on a lot of the human experience.
Right.
I think it's consciousness limiting to the extreme. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh, we agree.
That's what I'm trying to say. Because I met guys. Sorry to interrupt. I met guys here. I met an American guy the last week, and we were talking about something similar. And he started calling me fucking race traitor and this ridiculous shit because I didn't agree with his fucking far right bullshit. I'm telling him the same thing that I'm telling you. Why are you defining yourselves like, oh, but you've got to defend, your proud white cultures. Like, I didn't do that shit. I can value it as a human contribution to the world if it's something I personally think is a good thing, but I'm not defining myself as that. He was.
Right.
I'm trying to tell you guys the same thing. It's more spiritual than anything else, what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but this is the thing.
Spiritual?
Yeah.
What do you mean by spiritual?
I mean, not identifying yourself with the physical world. I think we're beyond this, personally. I don't think this is all there is. I think it's very, very limited way of thinking.
I get what
Oh,
you're
this
saying.
is
you're saying-
another
Can I just say
level.
something?
Gone to another level
I think
now.
that's where we need to go, man.
Yeah, you're going to another level
Because
now.
I value you.
I understand.
That's the point.
You're
That's
going
the
to another
point, because
level.
You're making the claim almost that we are somehow not accepting of other people's cultures.
Well, what are you talking about?
Isn't
What are
that
you
what
talking
you're
about?
suggesting?
Is that
All you have to say is no.
anything like what I
Just
said?
say no
You're
and you're
saying
fine.
we're narrow-minded or something like that. Isn't that
Bro,
what you said?
Absolutely not. I don't know
Okay,
where you're
can
getting
you
that
repeat
from.
your, okay, maybe I made a mistake. Repeat your point then. 'Cause That's what I took from it.
I'm saying that generally, I'm talking in people everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the more that we personally self-identify with wanting to belong to a culture, wanting to belong to this place, and that becomes your identity. That becomes your identity. The weaker you get, the more open you are to getting attacked. The more attacked, like verbally or getting offended psychologically. We don't need to associate with this. Like, that's what I'm trying to tell you guys.
but can I jump in here? Can I jump in here?
The real valuable experiences in life are ones when you drop any of these preconceptions
Okay.
and you enjoy what you're doing in the moment with people you actually like.
Okay, let's shift the gear.
I'm going
Let's
beyond-
go up a level now. We're going to go up a level.
We can agree with that, but
We're going to shift the gear.
there must be a reason why people are doing this, right?
Doing
There
what?
must be why reason people are group identified.
Yes, that's right. Good.
Because we have instincts.
Yeah.
We have human instincts that want to be tribal. And I'm saying to advance as a species, we have to go beyond that.
Okay.
I think the
But then
only group that's guilty of that is the far right. They're the only ones that want to stick to their own culture and that's it. And they don't want to appreciate any other people's
Watch
culture.
this. Watch this.
That's right.
Watch this. Okay. So the subject is still discipline, right? We're still on the subject, so that people that are watching, they can still see the flow right the way through the conversation. Subject is discipline. Now I think the conversation now is going to move up a gear.
Go ahead.
Should I move? Yeah, I should move, eh?
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Okay,
Yeah,
don't say
see you later,
Don't
man.
say it. Don't beat anyone. Don't discipline
What's
anyone.
she saying?
Right. Okay.
You guys want to come in?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So the subject is discipline. We're talking about discipline. Yeah. And it's progressed through quite a few levels. Now, you started to say that you don't understand why people keep all these racial
No,
or
it's not that I don't understand it. I understand it.
Oh, you
I'm
understand
saying
it, but you
that
don't
it's
see
not
any value in it.
No, it's not that there's no value in it.
What?
It's that it usually causes very big problems when people self-identify with that.
Yes.
At cost of all else.
That's right.
cause
And you do, and
That's
what
what
you're
I'm saying.
saying, if I understand what you're saying that we should think of ourselves as spiritual beings.
Yeah, for sure.
And then we should be able to ride above.
Absolutely.
Good. All right, I got you. Right. It's okay.
Yeah, but that will
So-
happen maybe 200 years, not now. You're
Why
talking
not?
about a society in
It's
300
an-
years' time.
It's an individual.
There'll be
it's
no
an individual
religion.
problem.
There'll be no
Right,
nothing.
right.
It's an individual struggle.
So in the future, there'll be no religion in this world. There'll be no differences between
Depends on
anybody.
your depends on
In my
your
view,
definition.
in my view.
That's right.
Because
Depends on your definition.
in order to move forward to the society you're talking about, you need to get rid of all the differences.
I think it's going to be.
Oh.
No, I
You
disagree.
hear that?
I think it's a.
No. If you stick
Well,
to
you're telling me
religion,
no. I disagree.
No, if you
So
stick to religion,
Yeah,
you're,
okay,
you're
right.
sticking to those things you are.
I'm not talking about religion, my friend.
No.
Can I
I haven't finished.
Yeah, I understand what you're
Look,
saying.
Let he's new. Let him say his
Let me
point.
finish. I don't know, I agree with you, well, actually, maybe 90% or 99% of what you said, but we're not ready for that yet.
Well, probably not.
No, but let me finish. We're
Sure.
not ready, and we won't be ready in maybe 100, 200 years' time. In 200 years' time, probably there'll be just one language, no religion, no difference between people. I'm not against that, but today there are differences.
What differences?
The differences are that we make.
Give me
That
an
have been
example.
made. Have been made.
Sure, we actualize these things.
race,
give them
culture,
importance.
and I like those differences so much. I like differences.
But you think it's
I
gonna
like
be? You
differences
think?
too.
I want to go to a different country with different culture, different.
Right. Okay.
If I like it, I'll stay. If I don't like it, I'll go
I
somewhere.
think you're talking about tribalism.
But what I think,
Well, we'll talk about a number of things.
He's
We're
gonna
jumping
be-
from spiritual
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah,
tribalism.
yeah.
so-
Right now,
We need to pin it
right
down.
now,
Right,
those
we're gonna-
differences
We're gonna
exist.
put it down.
Do you? Yeah, right now. Yeah. So I want to ask you, all of you, one question.
Go ahead.
It's just a question. So right, okay. If one country, and I'm going to give you an example, or maybe two. If one country is 99% Catholic and white, is that racist? It's just the way it is. It's a fact. Spain, my country, or Italy, the most Catholic countries in the world. I'm not Catholic. I don't care about religion at all. If it's 99% white and 99% Catholic, do you think people that are racist just because that's the way they are?
They're racial.
No, it's a question.
Yeah, they're racial. The answer is they are
Thank you
racial.
very much.
Okay, I just want to make a quick.
That's the way it
Can I
is.
make a counter point?
Absolutely.
Yeah. If it's 99% like Poland,
back on your
Poland, for
point.
example, yeah, where it's a majority of white,
Yeah.
then we can't say it's racist. But if it's the UK, for instance, where let's say
Very different.
let's say the balance is 75%, 75% white and 25% other ethnic minorities, and then they decide, you know what? We want to make it totally white. Then that's racist.
Well,
Do you understand?
I understand,
the
but
difference.
that's not what I said.
Okay,
That's-
no.
that's
I
not
understand what
I
you're saying,
said.
but I'm just saying.
And if we
yeah.
want to keep it that way, do you think we're racist?
Sorry, what? Keep what that way?
The way it is right now.
Oh, you're saying if oh, do you want to keep
No, no,
99%?
yes.
Oh, so you
I'm
don't want
not-
to accept. You don't want to accept.
No. Because I can guarantee you, the people who say we don't talk about Islam, Catholics, we don't care about America, Trump. We are just care about our
why
own
would you-
culture. We don't give a
May
fuck
I
about the
add to
rest
that?
of the world.
May I expand the
And I
question
can
then?
tell you we are not racist. I
that's the
can tell you
problem.
we are
Can I
not.
say something? That's the problem because you're saying that if that people that come in are threatening your culture. Why
I didn't say that.
Why is
I
this
didn't
me?
say
Well,
that.
no,
I didn't
well,
say
no,
that.
let's-
I'm not making an
It can be
affirmation. I'm not making any
That's, I mean,
affirmation.
that's
I'm asking a question.
The question was, you say you're from Spain, which is 99% Catholic.
I've been here for 30 years. So I
That's
live
cool.
here. It is 99%.
That's like
Yeah. Well, so it's like if they're stopping other people,
I didn't say that.
but if you use the term white, that means a Scottish man is welcome to come to Spain because you use the
I
term
didn't
white.
say that. It was just a question. I'm not making
Well,
any affirmation.
I don't
I'm
know.
saying the
This is
country
the
is what
answer.
it is. It's 99 Catholic and 99% white. Do you
Yeah.
think if people want to keep it that way, would you say they are racist? And it's just a question.
Now I'm expanding the question. I'm asking
It's not the case.
I'm
but
asking the
I
question to
just
make the
want
question make more sense.
I just want to push things forward a little bit, yeah?
Yeah, here's what it is, right? So if you say the word white, that means if the European definition of white, that means a Scottish person, a Welsh person who is Catholic should be able to come there and stay
right.
there.
That's
I
right.
didn't
That's
say
right.
that.
But it's implied in what you're saying.
If you said Spanish,
Because
if you said,
Catholic
if you said
and
Catholic
white.
Spanish citizens, so be it.
That-
But-
right,
But you
right.
said white, and white could mean that the next door neighbours who are from France or from England.
Religion and race are two different things. and
Okay.
Oh, no,
people
it's the same.
Keep
Same
making
thing.
the same mistake.
No, they're the same thing.
No, they're not, mate.
different, man.
They're
How can
different.
religion
And
be
that's
the same as
that's
race?
part of the problem.
It doesn't make
That's
any
part of the
Race
problem.
is a faith.
Would you say it's the same thing, race and religion?
Yes, it's the same.
Absolutely not.
They're exactly the
No.
same.
way.
I think most people would
And that's,
disagree with you, man.
that is part
I know
of the
they
problem.
would.
That's part of the
But we
problem.
break it down. I'll
That's
let
part
you
of the
explain.
problem. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, we
That's
can
part
break
of
it
the
down.
problem.
If we
That's
break
part
it,
of the problem.
we slow it down.
You know, like far right. You could be
Yeah,
a
I
black
understand.
far right guy.
No, there's not many though.
Yeah,
not
or
many.
Chinese
It's
far
an
right.
ideology, man.
Not many. It's not many.
You're talking about ideas.
I would disagree. I don't
where
think
you
it's-
are.
I don't think it's an. I think it's an
Religion,
ideology built on,
you said,
Yes.
your position is that religion,
Yes.
we'll leave your spirit at the next level, yeah? We'll leave that for now.
That should be the core, I think.
Yeah, we'll deal with that in a minute. But let's deal with this. You are of the belief that religion and race are different. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
One's biological, the other's in your mind. There you
Sorry?
go. One's biological, the other's in your mind.
Ah. So then we come to the issue of nature and nurture.
Not really. I don't see how.
Religion is a construct, yes?
It's an ideology or a belief.
Right.
That's it. Cultural thing.
So the concept of race is a construct as well, isn't it? It's a social construct.
This is a fact. I'm white, you're black. That's it. It's a fact. Who cares?
This is
I
race.
saw that before.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is a construct. This is the official definition
It's not my
of the
definition.
races.
So it's worthless to me.
Code it.
It's worthless to me.
I understand. This is not your definition,
Not
but
his
this
either.
is a definition of the authorities,
He said
of
white.
where the power
He
is.
used the term white.
Well, exactly. And
colour,
whiteness.
Colour.
Yeah, but
You have to define exactly what he means.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, but you're talking about Spain. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but you said it's 99%. Oh, you can now define it. You said 99% white and Catholic.
Yeah, that's
So
the
what
way
is
it is.
so what is white then?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's it. But start off with that. What is white to
That's
you?
white, that's black, that's whatever. It's a color, purely.
Okay, hold it.
Black, come on,
All right.
more or less.
All right,
I'm
okay.
obviously I'm not
So,
white like me.
okay.
Jeez, come on, man.
No, let's slow this down. Let's
So
slow
can
this
a
down.
Celtic
Let's slow
come
this
to
down.
Spain? If a Celtic
Right.
You're not gonna tell me what my country is. Yeah?
I'm answering
But
your
you
question.
said that they're white.
I'm answering your question.
Yeah.
Remember you asked us a question, remember that?
Yes.
So this
Yeah,
so
that's
now we're
right.
trying to expand it.
Yeah.
So if I was a white Nordic Catholic, could I come be in Spain?
Celtic, actually, I'm from the north, so I'm Celtic. I'm
Okay,
not
so
from the south.
what about Nordic? Could a Nordic person come and keep
Very
it?
different, mate.
Galicia?
Yes.
Would it still be
So,
99?
for me, a Scottish, I've got more in common with a Scottish or an Irish rather than a Southern Spaniard.
Right. So
It's a completely different universe, if you like.
Oh, do you hear that? Do you hear that?
okay.
Well, I like it too. But,
You hear that?
To me, they
Completely-
are so
They're
different.
very different. Yeah.
He's talking about this, the IC1 and IC2. That's
right. So
that's
you-
what he's saying.
So dark south.
Different
Is it
mentality.
dark south?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Oh, so what you're saying is the IC2s are different from the IC1.
Don't get sidetracked by this, man. It's a joke.
I know.
It's a joke.
No, but-
You know
but-
it's
It's a very
joke, man.
serious.
But he's definitely. But,
We're not going to make progress with this paper.
hold on.
We
Let-
already agreed
You
before,
know that.
you and I.
We're standing
That's-
under this.
We're not going to make progress with
Mate,
this.
you say this, but he's. I could
He
be wrong.
mentioned the word
Yeah,
white.
you mentioned something. So
Yes,
you
right.
said that you're closer. You're closer. Even though there are two types of people from Spain, you said, right? Yeah, you said the southern and the northern.
There's many.
There's many. But these are the two you mentioned, right?
Yes.
You're saying that the northern are closer to say what the Scottish.
Genetically, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Than the southern. But the funny thing is, there is now a divide in this definition. There.
Yes.
But we're
That's
not
what he's
defending
saying.
this definition.
I'm not saying you are.
You're
We-
trying
we-
to make us defend it.
No,
That's
we-
why you're using it.
No,
Just
no.
put it away, man. I don't want to talk about this.
Yeah, but you're part of a conversation, aren't
No,
you?
we're all part of it.
Yeah.
Come on, mate. He
Right.
doesn't know. He doesn't care about this. I don't care about it. You don't care about it. So why use it?
I care
Right.
about facts.
People watching it probably don't care about it.
Well, no, but you're assuming a lot. But what I'm saying
I
is,
am. But I've seen it a million
Right.
times.
Hold on, remember. Okay, fair enough. I have not as much, right? What I'm saying is, this gentleman's come here and he's asked a question.
Yes.
The question is,
I
I'm
asked
from,
the question
and the question is,
I didn't get an answer
yeah.
from
It's a
you.
good
didn't get an
question.
answer
it's a
from
good
me.
question, yeah.
Because we
And-
can expand it.
I feel that these definitions are expanding it. How people define people groups, right?
Yes.
But we
Yeah.
can do that. We don't
Identity
need
politics.
this.
Okay,
Why
okay.
ask me? Put this away.
If this
We can
offends
ask
you,
me.
I don't know why it would offend you.
Because it's a tool. It's a disingenuous tool.
Right,
Of
okay.
the authorities.
I'm not the authority. Neither are you. It's worthless to me. I don't recognise the UK
But
government on this.
fair enough.
Okay.
But the gentleman did say that 99% white Catholic. That's the definition.
Yes.
That has to mean. Is it,
It has to mean something. It has to mean something.
It's the
I'm not saying it's good.
He,
but it's
he said
just
white
facts.
Catholic.
Yes.
That's
No,
what he
I'm not-
said.
no, no,
and he's saying
Hold on.
if
What did
you
you say?
want to, if you
Hold
want.
it. I might be white, but I didn't say I was a Catholic.
No, I'm not
was
saying
born in
you
a
are,
Catholic
but you're saying
So we're
that.
not talking about you
born in a
anymore. We're
Catholic
talking about the
country.
statement you made.
Yeah, the statement,
yeah,
not you.
Yeah, I don't know what you are,
statement.
but what I'm saying is,
Yes.
you asked the question. If
Yes.
Spain was 99% white Catholic,
Yes.
and they
You all
wanted,
know it's Catholic, big time.
okay, well,
Yes.
And I'm not like super proud
remember,
of it, but
it's
whatever.
not you. Remember,
We're not talking about you. We're not talking about you.
We
It's a
have
question.
to have ourselves out of the
question.
conversation sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
It's about the
If
question.
the question is, if people there
Yeah, wanted to keep it that
want to
way.
keep it that way,
Yes.
I then said,
would you say they're racist? No,
Right.
Don't include me.
Right.
I'm
And
talking
I.
about-
Right.
Let's
and
say,
then, to make it make more
would
sense.
you say people in that country are they racist because they want to keep the
keep it that
culture
way.
the way it is?
Yes, but
Would you say?
that's a
Just
good
give me
question.
your-
Yes, and it's a good question.
Yes,
And but
good.
we have to
Good
expand to
question.
make it make more sense, right?
Yes.
Because if you say the way it is, you're talking about you're talking about white Catholic. Right?
Yes.
So that means because if you said okay, they're all Spanish. Hold on, they're all Spanish. Yeah.
You didn't mention Spanish. Yeah.
And they want to keep it Spanish. I see that conversation might make a bit more sense. But you said white, therefore meaning a
Yes.
Scottish person
It
that has more rights.
It doesn't mean people like you guys wouldn't be allowed. No. How many? I'm talking about the percentage. How many millions should we allow not to affect the way things are?
Let me give you an example, right? Let me give you an example, right?
Right.
Let me give you an example. You have just say 1 million Spanish people left Spain, and 1 million Scottish people came in.
Yeah.
Would that still be 99% white Catholic? There's a question.
You need to look at the numbers.
I think what we're trying to say.
Let me answer that one. Let me answer that
No,
one.
we can get deeper because
Yeah,
something
yeah.
you talk, you something we all talked about earlier, which was interesting because I heard you say, like, when you said one of the worst things somebody could do is to separate them from their culture, to devalue it, to try and eliminate it from the public view.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
Yes.
And I agree with you. It's a bad thing to do.
Yes.
So what we can use is that sentiment, which I agree with, that you presumably agree with, and presumably it applies to all cultures.
Yes.
So what somebody's
Yes.
saying, if somebody feels that their culture is being
Under threat.
I just gave you the
then they
opposite.
should have
The
the right
opposite
to
example,
defend from
mate.
that.
Yes, correct.
Right.
I gave you the
That's, I
opposite
think, what we're
example.
saying.
The opposite
Yes.
example.
Yes,
So
that's it.
that's clear.
Yeah, but what?
So you need to understand both.
Yeah, but maybe my
You're not
question,
saying.
maybe what I was saying made no sense at all. I'm saying, if you're saying that there's people from Spain who value 99% white Catholics, and I'm saying 1 million of Spanish people, they leave for some reason, and they're replaced by 1 million Scottish black Catholic,
Yes.
white Catholics. Right? Yeah.
Would it still be the same?
Would that be maintaining the cultural standards?
Well, it's a big number, but the differences, cultural differences between Spain and Scotland are not as big as the differences
So that would be
between
okay.
Spain and maybe Congo.
Right. Okay. Right.
So a Catholic.
A Congolese Catholic is the same.
It's cultural.
Black Catholics.
Here's
Cultural.
Yeah,
I hear
I
you
understand. Black
The
Catholics are
cultures
not
are
the same.
different.
So
Scottish-
hold on.
African
Let's get
Catholics.
one voice.
No,
One voice.
mate,
I think
but
they're
So are
very
you saying
different.
a Congo Catholic person that's different? Yeah.
that would be yes, but still obviously different continents, very different cultures. You know, it's not racist for God's sake.
Right.
But
I'm not saying.
Look,
It's racial. It's racial,
if
not
10 million
racist.
Spanish people come to this country tomorrow, that would be wrong. It's
Okay.
a huge number. You know why I'm saying this? Because I had this conversation before with a guy who said, I said to him, how many million refugees should we allow in Europe? For God's sake, 200 million? It would be a disaster. And he said, no, the numbers are not important. It's all about fucking numbers. Because if you say that the numbers are not important, then you are being racist. If I say numbers are important, the only thing that matters, I'm not being racist. I don't mind 10 million black people in Spain. Or what, 10 million is too much. But imagine 100 is not much, 1,000 is not much. 30 million, it would change the culture. You know what I'm saying? It would change the culture. It would have a massive impact.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's have a think, because we see this with the colonialism from Europe,
Yeah.
coming in and changing the cultures
Yeah,
of the
no,
places
but
they came
I
to,
think,
which we oppose, right?
but I think it's crossing just what you were saying about the tribalist kind of concept.
We don't do things like you do,
I-
you know.
yeah,
back home,
I-
you know,
yeah.
This is different, you know what I'm saying? It's all about numbers.
Yeah, I hear that. But,
I understand.
But
And how
the
fast
point.
they move.
But can I just say very sorry? Just
Say a point. Say a point.
I'm saying, is that not the responsibility of the government or in charge of the country to maintain the culture?
And how you do that?
You understand?
How do you
so
do
if there's
that?
an influx of people coming in,
Yes.
if the country or the
Yes.
government can't control
Yes.
its
How-
own culture
how-
through their own
how-
laws,
how?
'cause the
Closing their borders.
laws.
It's, you know what? I'm going to say
That's the easy one.
The cultures determine the laws. Do you understand? So
That's
there's no
right.
threat.
Okay.
There's
That's
no
right.
threat of the influx. What can they do? If I'm just a nobody coming in from a different country, what different? I can't change anything. I can't stand up against the government.
what I'm trying to establish.
How can I
right?
can't penetrate the culture.
What I'm trying to establish is if an Irish,
from
a
happening
Welsh,
is saying, okay,
a
only,
French,
It's not
a
judged.
Polish.
the only way you control that is by
Catholic.
controlling the numbers of people coming
yeah.
into the
Yeah, we hear
country,
this.
which is not a bad thing
Okay,
in a
so
way.
I'm trying to step up to step back, right? And here's a step back. I'm saying this. You're right, yeah. But if you have a Catholic Irish, Catholic Polish, Catholic Welsh,
Yeah.
and Catholic Scottish,
Yeah.
if they come in and it's not noticed, as in like, okay, they are part of our culture, we can simulate very easy.
How many?
Okay, so you're saying that.
How many? I don't care where they come from. I don't want 5 million people.
So you're talking about. You're talking about.
I say no.
You're talking
fuck
about
off.
immigration and the numbers. That's different.
It's important.
That's different.
because
That's,
it
that's,
affects
yeah.
society.
Well, yeah, it is. But
the culture,
yeah.
the country.
That's immigration
You know
numbers.
what I mean?
That, yeah, okay, that's fine. We can agree with you. If you're
Regardless
saying,
the
if you're saying you don't have the
race.
infrastructure,
Forget about the race.
yeah, okay.
Of the- you
If
know,
you're saying you don't have the infrastructure to support millions of people coming into a piece of
course not.
Yeah, well, no one can argue with that. I agree with that.
No
but then,
country
but then
can.
what we're talking about is if you're saying we want to keep it 99% white Catholic, what I'm saying by technically,
Yeah.
you can take 1 million Spanish people, send them somewhere else,
Yeah.
take 1 million Scottish people, and as long as they're
know what
Catholic,
you
you
mean.
still have 99% white Catholic. Just by your definition. Yeah, so that means yes,
thin line,
your
but
country
yeah, I
would be
understand.
seen as racist if
Yeah.
you would take 99% Scottish
But
Catholics, but not 9% Congo Catholics.
There you go.
Then you would be defined as racist.
Right.
Whether you like that or not, it doesn't matter. That's how it is.
That's right.
There you go. So
Good,
but,
good.
But I'm sure that comes into discipline. So,
That's right.
and,
Of course.
My
of
point
course.
is the numbers is the only thing that matters. Numbers.
Okay.
I understand.
A thousand.
Which one?
A
Well, I hope
thousand-
so. That's what I think is
A
beyond all
thousand.
this bullshit.
Listen.
That's right. That's right. We go there.
1,000 Irish people going to Madrid. It's probably nothing. This is a 7 million.
But 1,000, we get your point. I understand your
got it.
point.
1,000 Irish
we got your
people
point.
going to
Yeah, yes,
a
yes, yes.
50,000 small
Yeah.
village.
Yeah.
It fucks up the
Yeah,
whole
I
place.
understand. I've got his point.
I'm saying the other way around.
Yeah,
If
I've
I
got
could
your
just
point.
make one more point. Yeah. I
Estamos de
think
acuerdo.
quickly, just
We get
quickly.
back to you.
We agree. It's right.
Just one more point. I just feel like that rhetoric.
I'm
is-
saying the other way around. You don't wa-
I think that rhetoric is dangerous because if you're saying that these people are kind of threatening our culture, that's what can contribute to xenophobia. I think.
No, but,
Yeah.
I
but
think
bro,
that's
I
just
just
as if it's xenophobia.
we can just turn it around. But anyway, we want to
That's
go
my
back to
Yeah, okay, right. So the subject was discipline,
Go ahead.
and we're going to move the subject now up at another level where, correct me if I'm wrong, what you're saying is that when we become spiritual people or become spiritually connected, we'll rise above or render irrelevant race, ethnicity, and so
absolutely.
on. So if
Absolutely,
we become spiritual people,
It's more. It's an individual. It's
Right.
an individual path.
okay, all right, good.
That's my stance.
Right, good. I understand your stance now. So your stance, to clarify for those that are listening who may have lost track,
I don't blame them.
who may have lost track, we're still under the subject of discipline, and now we're going to move into the subject of spirituality. Spirituality and its relationship to discipline. Yeah? Good, good. Now, your view is a very popular view.
Is it?
Yes.
I almost never hear it.
Oh, yeah, I know it's not heard often, but I've come across a lot of people with that view.
That's good.
And the view is that, we've already made it clear what the view is, but there's a clash here. You see, spirituality or the spirit, if we are all spirits, then we are spirits inside a vessel. And the vessel that you are in
Is irrelevant.
this is the subject. This is where we're going. This is where we're going to go now. This is going to go. So, some people believe that if you're a spiritual entity, then the body that the spirit is in, is irrelevant.
It's a prison.
And that the body
look at it like
is
that.
a prison. A prison.
It depends
Yes.
on your perspective.
Yes. So the spirit, like water, is inside a vessel, and the vessel is a body. Yes,
And it's shaping the water.
and it's shaping the
So
water.
when you say spirit, are you referring to your thought patterns?
No.
So
What are you referring to?
What is the
Like
spirit?
obviously, like we're talking about stuff that we can't quantify and point out and touch.
Okay,
So this
fair
is not that kind of convo. It's a spiritual.
Is that what
what
spirit
I
is?
usually talk about here is about this. So it doesn't normally fit into the paradigm of what I imagine you guys might talk about. So I can't quantify it for you like that. It's my own individual understanding of what I've come to understand about the world or whatever. I can't claim it to be truth either.
Right.
I'm just saying, what I'm trying to say is I like to believe that everyone has intrinsic value, the same intrinsic value, that supersedes all of the rest of the problems that we have on the earth. And the sooner people come to that realization, they can live more peaceful lives. And
Right.
I would say more fruitful lives.
Yes.
You understand me?
Okay, I understand. I agree with you, but here's a disagreement. This is where I disagree with you.
Okay.
I believe that this spiritual unity amongst us cannot function unless it has a body, and that the challenge is not to deal with the spiritual's there. The challenge is how to manage the vessels or the body in which the spirit is.
I think the complete opposite.
Right, I know. That's what I'm trying to say. So this is a very challenging debate now. This is
don't want to debate.
this is the this is the primal discussion.
Talk.
It's a primal discussion. It's a very powerful, very deep discussion. What value has the body to the spirit? That's the question. What value? So, what value is your culture related to your spirit?
It shapes
What
who
value
you are,
is your
it shapes you.
right? Well, if it
And you have to break from first of all you have to break from religion. Number one thing, you have to detach yourself from in order to see others as equals.
Yeah, right.
That's it, mate.
oh,
That's it.
I'm
That's
not
what
too
I
sure.
say. In 200 years' time, there'll be no religion on this planet.
Yeah, but listen carefully.
No religion
Listen
at
very
all.
carefully to what you said.
I know
You
what I
said
say.
that you
I've
have
thought
to.
about it a million times.
Yes, but okay. You said
Yeah.
that, or basically, the point you're making is that the spirit has to break free from the body.
No, I didn't say that.
Well,
No, I
what
didn't
is
say
the
that.
point? We're talking about the spirit and the body now.
Yeah.
What you saying?
Yeah. But the body is you're shaped by your culture and your religion and everything. I don't know
Yes.
if you practice or whatever. Okay. The number one reason why we see each other as different, the number one, in my opinion, is religion.
You disagree with that, don't you? You disagree with that?
I didn't. The number one of what is religion?
The number
problem.
one issue we have in this world, the
Okay,
number one reason why we see each other so, like, oh,
One of-
you.
okay,
You mentioned race, he's mentioned religion.
One of my statements on that is that I think anything that's going to limit your connectedness to other people
Yeah.
on a higher level
Yeah.
is going to be a bad move. So when we've got religions that basically they have the same story, but they're all diametrically opposed somehow,
Right.
this is not helping us in any way,
Yeah.
any way at all. And it doesn't mean that there aren't values that you can follow in a religion that might make you live a good life. Sure there are, but I can think of those values myself. I don't need a book to tell me. You know, that's my stance on it.
Yeah.
We could sit here and work out some maybe more or less objective ways of living our lives and structuring society. We can do it, absolutely. As for the higher level, I'd like to say that, to agree, is that religion can block your connectedness to other people by making yourself maybe on a higher pedestal than another.
Right.
Many doctrines make that
And
statement.
would the race statement be the same as well? Would you say that
Yeah.
race makes you feel you're higher or lower than someone else?
Well, it doesn't need to, but I see it a lot. If you define yourself by a race, you're going to set yourself up and set people apart and look at the differences and then draw prejudices from those differences. It's an unfortunate human predisposition to make judgments about people. It's part of our survival.
Right.
And what I'm trying to say is we can supersede that, and I think that's the only way we're going to make any
Would you
progress.
say that?
How?
Would you say that?
How's it good?
Who's
Spiritual
no,
experiences.
but who's so when you've defined religions and you define races? Let's go for the race section, right? There's obviously certain areas of dominance of races and certain ones who are not as dominant. Would you say that?
In
So-
history, you mean?
Well, history and today
Okay.
in history. Would you say that certain races might have more of an advantage in certain areas where it comes to that just dominance?
No, not when
No,
you say
not-
race. No,
not race,
because
okay.
because if we look at the power structures of the world, there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that are really controlling things, man. Like
Right.
fractional reserve banking system dominating the world,
Yeah.
media being controlled by a tiny
Hold that
number of
point there.
corporations.
But what
this
values
what's
do
really
they have?
controlling.
Yeah, but what values do they
I
have?
don't know, man. I
right.
don't know these people.
Ah.
I don't think. I don't
they've got to
think.
have some
But in
shared
terms of
values.
race,
I
in
don't
terms of
think-
races,
I don't
is there
think good ones,
are they part of any kind of race group? Those the people who do
Right.
I don't
Good,
know.
good.
I
Good
don't
answer.
know.
Okay.
I can look at
But
what
you
I
don't
see.
think that's relevant?
Well, it might be relevant.
Good.
No, the race might not be relevant, but shared mentality is probably relevant.
Okay, so here's how
How do
time
you
to
think?
what I'm saying. I'm saying is if there is a dominant group, right, where that so happens to be of one race, and there is a dominated group that might so happen to be from another group, race, I would say it's the responsibility of the dominating group to actually try to get this utopia of racism important rather than a dominated group. Does that make sense?
I'm rejecting conversations about groups.
Okay.
I'm not going to do it because it's a separation. It's an us versus them. It's a proletariat, a bourgeoisie, and it
Right.
doesn't lead us anywhere.
Right.
And that's from my opinion, and reading a little bit about history.
Right.
The Gulag Archipelago
Right.
is a terrible thing, terrible thing. And people with much greater wisdom than me wrote a lot about it and say don't go down that path.
Right, so not to
That's
talk.
my stance.
So your stance is never talk about race in these
It's
guys
not
because
never talk about it. It's that it's not. If we want to look at ourselves as race, or we want to look at ourselves as spiritual beings, which has got more value? The
Okay.
one that doesn't make a separation.
Well, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, but what I'm saying, the reason why I talk about dominating and dominators is
But
who's
we're all
responsible.
under control, man.
Right.
We're all getting pressured,
Right,
and it's not because you're from someplace and I'm from someplace.
Is it not?
I don't think so.
Yeah, but you
We're all, man. We're living in this world, and it's a strange fucking place, man.
Yeah.
Like
Lots
if
of
we want to
things.
go into quantum physics and stuff and talk about the nature of reality, whether it's a simulation or not, we should do that. But I think this place is very, very strange. It's beyond this. this bullshit.
Can I interject quickly? Yeah.
Sure you can.
You know, with race and religion. I think with like I get your points. Yeah, your points are kind of well made. But I feel like
Discipline,
with
yeah.
religion and race,
That's
yeah,
what it's going to summarize.
particularly race, you can identify a black person quickly. Do you understand? But in terms of spiritual experience, how do you identify someone who has a similar spiritual experience with another person? So then how would you connect with them? Do you understand what I'm saying? Because if some people, because if you're saying that if race can be, if you're problematizing race as we've already done,
you
and
can
saying
jump in,
that
but you first you have to listen because
people who are too attached to the race can create problems and divisions to a certain extent. And your idea to kind of make it better in some ways is spiritual experience. How would you identify someone who has a similar experience, a spiritual experience than you? Because sometimes
That's a good question.
religion.
I'll give you easy answer.
Go on.
By the way that they speak to people.
Okay.
By the way that they relate, you can tell. I don't want to sound too broad, but you can tell an open mind when you see one.
Yes.
Like if you introduce an idea to somebody and they listen to what you're saying and they don't initially like reject it. You see, I talk to some people here when you're about to make your point, they turn to the side.
Whoa.
Hostia. No, mate.
Yeah, well, super win.
Just when it was getting quite.
See, someone's trying to stop you from speaking, mate.
It seems that
Called on the spirits. You called on the spirits.
I've had a.
So you say when you speak to people, you can
I
tell.
was saying they're not listening. They're not engaging with you. To answer that question, that's what I'm trying to say. Obviously, you don't know what, like, because I met a guy here the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
He saw me on another video, came up to talk to me, and we ended up talking about really deep spiritual stuff that I'd never talked about before here. I really wanted to. And we talked about out-of-body experiences. You know what I mean?
I don't know what you mean, but I understand what you're talking about.
Out-of-body experience?
Yeah.
You understand the concept?
I don't think I've experienced that yet.
Right.
If ever at all.
Right. And near-death experiences. I've had both.
I've had those, yes.
Yeah, right. And so we started talking about that.
How long are you not going to be? Are you going to be a little bit?
Why do you want to use camera?
Because we want to talk about something to do with India and Pakistan.
Okay.
Yeah, the war.
We'll stop there.
No, don't stop now.
We'll stop there. We'll stop
One.
I was just getting fucking interested. Are you serious?
I told you it was, didn't I? I told you it was the Rochester of the war. We're going to
We'll be back.
Rockefeller. Yeah. Oh, should we continue?
Let's continue.
Yeah. Let's continue because I told you
This happens
that
very often when we get to this point.
Exactly. That's right.
Very often.
Because this is a real serious topic.
It's the real topic.
It's a real
Like
thing.
when I talk about religion, when we get to this, they jump out, they leave.
It moves.
You know what? We can set up a conversation so what you might want to do is do what they do. Actually, set up a time to discuss a certain topic to reach a certain conclusion.
I see.
Right?
Well,
Because
conclusions are hard.
they're planning
They
stuff.
planned it in advance.
I assume so. Well, yeah.
Not in advance, but we was talking about.
Yeah. We'd be fair. We have been.
We didn't
in
plan
yeah,
the
we've
war.
been
There's a
in
war.
Well, if you want,
Between,
do you come every week?
India.
Yeah, most of the time.
We could try and we could pick a topic and what you want, spirituality or the blocking of groups or whatever.
Maybe, but these things, you know what it's like. These are spontaneous.
Yeah,
Like
that's
I'm in a flow state.
Sometimes you have to plan things.
Well, not really.
Okay, well, fair enough.
If you want, if anyone wants to talk about
Let me
this,
try.
we
Let
can
me
do
try.
it.
Let me try and finish off. The issue, we started off on discipline. Yes. And then the conversation moved onto the spiritual level.
Right.
And there's two groups, and we want to discuss this subject.
Hold that, please.
Yeah.
It's why we.
There's a division. Once we come to discuss about spirituality, so we're moving from the subject of discipline, and now we're about to move into the subject
Spirituality.
for another week of spirituality.
We can do it now, man.
No, because somebody else wants to use the camera. But next week or whenever, I'm just trying to summarise this new mode, because it's a very sensitive and very deep subject. So the two sides are, one group believes that if we forget about culture, race,
It's not forget about it. It's not treat it as the primary defining feature.
not treat it as a primary and concentrate on spirituality, then the human race will be able to come together.
Maybe so.
Humanity.
Individually.
Humanity.
You're going to start making progress individually.
Okay.
Individually.
Individually.
My only thing to think about, the only thing to take home is, I would like you to have a better definition.
Don't
of
talk
spirituality.
religion. No, we're going to keep talking about it. Don't give me a statement and walk away. Don't accept that.
Right. So that's one side, and I'm on the opposing side, and I'm saying that for humanity to work together and to achieve this spiritual harmony, humanity can only do it through the vehicles of race, ethnicity. Yeah, so that's the fight. That's the fight. Yeah. So we'll leave it there. Right.
And go out your road because you use your thing. Yeah, well, good talking. Man. Good speaking.
Oh yeah, good, very good.
It's just getting interested, mate. It's not how it works. I can't necessarily get. Yeah, I know. Very first to talk about this. I've not had a conversation on camera about proper spirituality ever. Every single time.
What's he doing?
I know, cool. It's very strange.
What's going over there? Still,
Over there?
under the tea hut. I look like some kind of like messiah or something. Look, some kind of new leader. Look at this.
Content over everything. From your man, say it straight. Man, don't listen to BBC. Man, don't listen to ITV. Listen.
What's your history of this though? Do you know the problems? Alright, so we'll talk about that as well then, because I want to... I want to clarify, because I actually don't know too much about that troubles and where it started. Because Kashmir is what started it off.
I made a video about it already, but we can, talk
Yeah, so
about
I'll kind of ask you questions. No problem. Where's that little I'm in India? Where's my...